Andrea from B101 is so excited to be joined by Alysia Reiner this morning.
So excited to be here.
Orange is the New Black. The final season comes out on Friday. How do you feel to be done? Like, done the show? It's like.
I think it hasn't fully sunk in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, every summer we go back, usually around now. So maybe in September I'll be like, wait a minute, I'm not going back to school.
Right. I was gonna say that. It's like,
but
yeah,
we've been so busy. I'm very lucky. I'm on a couple of other shows. So I shot The Deuce until like a week ago, and then I went to Portugal, and then we're doing the press tour. So I think when you stay busy, you don't realize. And I was talking about this earlier. There's grief for everyone about this, and it's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay.
Thank you. Because I just watched. They gave me season 7 to preview, so I watched the first 6 episodes, and then before I went to bed, I watched the last one because I just got it yesterday morning. I was like, let's mainline as much as I can. Yeah, and I have
not that we can really talk about anything. That's the thing.
I know. I was gonna say this is my first interview I've ever done where they sent me a list of unutterable spoilers.
Not allowed.
It's like, here are the things
what are
you
can't
talk
about. What can we talk about? Right.
Not much. Your storyline intersects a lot with the embargoed stuff that I can't talk about.
Yeah.
Well, how does it feel for you to go out and do interviews with the spoilers? Do you ever worry?
Here's what I tend to talk about, because it's one of the only things I can talk about, and I think it's really important to talk about. One of the things this show did was talk about the industrial prison complex and the finance behind prison. And it's so deeply important that everybody understands that it is a system in America that is financially incentivized. It's part of why we're doing what we're doing with ICE today, and which is the inhumane treatment of human beings. And so I keep on saying, take all of your grief when you're done watching this show and get active around prison justice reform and about immigration reform.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed watching the final season, and no spoilers, I promise, is that the show does kind of expand. There were whispers and some kind of hints last season that the show would expand into Polycon getting into like immigration and the monetization of that. And we do go there, which I can't really talk about. But also I noticed moments in the show where it was almost very explicitly through the characters daring the audience to do something.
Yep. And I think, I'm proud of what they've written as a human being, of what they've written. I am so proud to be part of something that really does do that dares people to look and not look away.
Yeah. And in a very empowering way that will become evident when the series airs, when you watch it. Yeah. And you'll know exactly what we're talking about, I think.
Yeah.
But what is it like to play a woman like Fig in that? Natalie Figueroa, the warden, warden again, new trajectory kind of in the next season.
Yeah, I started, when I got the role, it was 3 lines, and it was the assistant to the warden. It wasn't the assistant warden, it was the assistant to the warden. And then I sort of owned it, and they were like, okay, we'll make her assistant warden, and then I got fired.
You did.
And then
Fig did.
And then I got my job back, and then you'll see. But it's, her work life has certainly been a journey, and her personal life has certainly been a journey. I certainly didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all.
We get to see this season a lot of Fig and Caputo. Yep, that was fun.
And in season 6, people loved that, so they wrote right into that, and that's exciting to see what's gonna happen to these 2 people.
There was a scene in the trailer, which was one of my favorite scenes, where he says, "This is the first time I've ever seen you laugh. It's terrifying."
Oh, in that trailer.
This even season 7
That's so
trailer.
funny. I thought you meant like season 5 when we have sex in that, like bathroom
Oh.
trailer. I was like, are we going there? Why are we going there? Because he says, don't touch the hair. And so I thought you were going to go hair with me.
No, I love that he loves that she is so terrifying.
I know. I think the most similar thing between me and Fig is the laugh.
Well, that's good.
Like that. It's my real laugh. My daughter has the same laugh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
My husband says that people laugh at my laugh in movie theaters. Like, I almost couldn't remember the word movie theater because we so rarely go to those things anymore. We just watch everything on Netflix.
We just stream
right?
it on Netflix, yeah. What's it like opening her up more this season a little bit?
It's beautiful, you know, and it's tough because there were moments where she kept it together and I couldn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in the situations that I can't talk about.
I know.
But yeah, there are moments where she can keep it together because she has a lot more layers to her than I do.
She does.
And I'm just an open book. I'm just a big mush ball. So yeah.
Do you like her?
Oh.
I mean, I know you kind of have, as an actor, you kind of have to.
I wouldn't want to be friends with her.
No?
No. I think she's. There are a lot of things I admire about Fig. Her strength, and she's really fucking smart.
Yeah.
And so there's some things I really admire about her, but I wouldn't want to be her friend. I don't think she knows how to do true like openness in the way that I look for friends.
Vulnerability.
She's a good, yeah.
Yeah.
She'll
never be.
Bryn Brown
She'll
would
never
not.
Brene Brown it.
Yeah, she'd never. They would not be best friends. Yeah.
Someone should send Fig a copy of Daring Greatly.
Yes! It's so funny. So I'm about to do, on Friday, I start a workshop of a new play at the Public, and I'm playing her.
You're playing Brene Brown?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah. It's
God.
like part of one of the bits of it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I've been listening to her a lot.
Yeah.
Listening. Her intonations, working on my slight Texas accent.
Right, there's a little bit. There's just
just
a tiniest little bit.
just a little, and she talks a little. There's like a whisper to her voice, and it's all about vulnerability.
Did you get to meet her at all as part of it?
No, God, would I love to? Maybe if we end up on Broadway,
Maybe.
yeah, I'll go interview her for reals.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah. What else you got? I actually now I have this fantasy of Ms. Brown and Ms. Caputo. I almost said, Ms. Brown and Ms. Figueroa meeting and having lunch.
That would be
I would watch that
amazing.
play. Would anyone else watch that movie or that play? Right? Those two humans in a room.
Oh my
That's
God.
a really interesting thing.
Because Fig could never get to Brene. And Brene would not give up on Fig.
Never.
That would go for
I
5
could
hours.
watch
and be
like
fascinating.
10 seasons of that. I think that's the spinoff right
I think
there.
we've got the spinoff.
We found the spinoff.
Let's sell that to Netflix.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when I said that you were coming in, they were like, "Oh my God, we love Fig. We love her so much."
It's, you know, I just feel so lucky to be part. Like, I feel like I'm a cog in a big, beautiful wheel. And as a very, you know, let's be honest, privileged white woman, I'm not like anything new that this show was groundbreaking about. I was probably the least groundbreaking piece of it in a way. But I sure feel lucky to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree a little bit that you weren't groundbreaking in a small way. Again, we have the privilege of, you know, but in a show that's so centered on women and different kinds of women's stories, it's almost wish fulfillment to get to see a woman be
Strong.
mean and strong and tough and like not give a crap and just like.
And I think one of the things I find funny is like you thought she was so bad and then you met Linda,
Right?
and you're like, oh
man.
She's bad, but she's not that bad.
Right, and they're two sides of the same coin because there's just the very polished and very tough. It's like bad cop, worse cop.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you do learn that Fig has a heart, and you over this many seasons, and you do learn sort of where some of that armor came from.
Yeah.
We never got a full-on backstory on her, but I think
there were pieces.
You know, there were like, if you pull together all the pieces, particularly, you know, that freaking Courtney Cox story.
Oh my God.
I don't think they could do. They probably wanted to write the full backstory thing, but they were like, "Oh, that would be really expensive to get Bruce and Courtney and millions of people for that flashback." So let's just have her tell the story.
But that one fact is, there's so much there.
There's so much there,
and she is, like you said, you think she's so tough, you think she's so mean, but she's a woman who. The show is a lot about systems and how systems treat people and how people have to work inside systems that aren't just. And as you come to know her over the seasons, you come to see that she's this woman who is doing the best she can in this system, or does what she has to do in the system.
And by the way, when she left, shit fell apart. Like, she wasn't doing that good a job, but it got a lot worse when she left.
Right. It's like leaving a job, like, you think it's bad now? Just wait.
Yeah. And yeah, if I were the warden of a prison, there would be, you know, I would serve good food, and there would be education would be a big piece of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I would do if it were me. But it wasn't, and she's a different woman, and she was doing the best she could.
Right. And we kind of see, not to get too much into spoilery territory, but there is a little bit of a storyline about that, because, of course, a lot of the tragedy of the past seasons were looking at people like Fig, people like Linda, and saying, like, what if you just cared a little? What if you just tried?
Yeah.
There's a little bit in the season of, you know, what if idealism does come?
Yeah.
And then you see maybe that...
There's a taste of it.
Yeah, and maybe, sadly, being like Fig becomes inevitable or becomes an easier choice.
Well, I think what's challenging is when you really put my husband always says, like, I'm little Miss Malaprop, because I'm like, hit the nail on the head. I'll be like, hit the hammer over my head, you know, like, I suck at those little expressions. But I think one of the things you do see is that when you try to change a huge system and change one cog, sometimes things fall apart.
Yeah.
And the thoughtfulness with which you need, and the energy behind you, and the support to change a system is huge. And, you know, there are people on this planet right now who are trying to do that around criminal justice and trying to do that around immigration and undocumented people. But there are so many systems that are so intrinsic, and there's so much money in those systems that it's really hard.
Yeah. It's a big part of this season is also the idea of restorative justice.
Yeah.
And it gets brought up.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a very explicitly stated theme of the season that gets brought up in this. And I feel like part of that, and when you're watching Orange is the New Black and living in the world at large right now, it's easy to get discouraged because it is, like you said, so large, so entrenched, there's so much money and clout and stake.
And there are things that you can philosophically believe in, but living them is a very different thing.
Right.
And the messiness of living them.
Right.
And the discomfort of, you know, it's back to being brown, of like, you know, like the mess of failing and making mistakes and learning and growing. And if you make, like, that idea of restorative justice, when we make mistakes as humans, which we all do, how do we really make reparations?
Right.
How do we really make amends? And who is capable of doing that and who is not? And who is capable of change and who is not?
Yeah. And one other thing that I liked, too, that gives it a little hope is each of the characters, and this has been from the start, is kind of trying to do what they can where they are. And I think when you're confronted with all of this big systemic stuff that's very heavy, to remember, do something small Start small, not where you're at.
Love that you said that, because in this moment, I think so many people can feel powerless and like, well, what can I do? And I'll just say, you know, I was so inspired by this season and by, you know, the writers writing about ICE that I went to the border, I raised money and visited a shelter there and brought thousands of dollars worth of supply to the shelter and met people in the shelter. And there's so many ways to help. There's amazing organizations if you just want to send some money, like Families Belong Together and Races, that help on the border and help at shelters and help at detention centers. Kids in Need of Defense is volunteer lawyers who help kids specifically. And then one thing that I've done with my, on a personal level, with a group of people at home, is there's something called Action Potluck that was started just after the election by people, and when these new immigration crackdowns started. And if you go to GoFundMe.com /Action Potluck, you can support them. But what they do is there are ways for people to actually help families, you know, and if you can find someone in a religious community so that a family can get sanctuary, you can sort of, as a group of people, adopt a family so that they can go into sanctuary via this, like, whatever religious community. And as a, you know, like, I'm part of a pod, and that's what we've done, is we've adopted a family.
And that's very, like, something you can do, tactile, like, right here, small, but untold help. It's great. So, I mean, have you seen all the episodes? Do you get to watch the season? Do you?
I have not seen a single episode.
No,
I haven't seen anything. I'll see my first episode tomorrow night at the premiere.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you know how it ends? I know obviously you know how your story ends.
I've read how it ends, but you never know. Things get cut all the time. So I don't know.
Are you allowed to say how you feel about the ending?
I feel grief. Yeah. You know, that's the truth of it. Is it's the ending of anything. You know, death is death is death.
Yeah.
Be it a piece of art, or, you know, the cool thing about art is you get to go back to it whenever you want. You know, that's one of the fun things about being a mom, is there's some movies we've watched many times now.
Oh, I'm sure. Is yours too old for Baby Shark or Peppa Pig, or are you free of that? Thank you.
God, I have no idea what either of those things are.
Do not look them up.
And my daughter hated Frozen. She didn't hate it, but she she found it like not very interesting. But The Princess Bride we've watched many times.
That's
now
perfect.
Already.
That's good parenting. Yeah, that's great.
Thank
oh my
you.
God, that's the best movie.
Yeah.
Did you take anything at all from the set? Do you have something of Figs, or?
I might have it in my wallet at all times. I have a business card of Figs. I have her Warden business card.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Do you feel, does she ever invade your life? I know you said you're a lot different, but do you ever feel yourself like saying something and you're like, ooh, that's Fig? Like,
I think you'd have to ask my husband. That's really invested, and he'd probably say yes. There are moments where he's like, you didn't used to be like this. What's happening?
Well, thank you so much for coming. This was amazing.
So much fun.
I'm so excited for everyone to see this season.
Yay.
Alysia Reiner from Orange is the New Black. Yay.